All right. We're just going to give a moment for all of the attendees to populate for tonight's meeting before we call it to order.
Hello.
Hey, Paul.
All right. Happy you made it in time, Paul.
Me too.
All right. I think I see at least at a minimum our first applicant. So I think we're all good on my end to call to order. Bridget, are you ready to roll?
Yes, I am.
All right. Robert,
right,
if you want
perfect.
to start us off.
All right, it's Monday, October 2nd at 6:34 p.m. I now call to order this regular meeting of the Jersey City Historic Preservation Commission.
Okay, please be advised that in accordance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice of the time, date, and place of this regularly scheduled meeting of the Jersey City Historic Preservation Commission has been sent to the Jersey Journal and the Jersey City Reporter and Alice Basilito on Wednesday, September 27th. Same notice has been provided to the city clerk for posting on the city website and on the bulletin board outside of the clerk's office in City Hall. I have proof of this notice in evidence, which is up on the screen now. Bridget, if we could mark it as B1, please.
Okay, this will be B1 in evidence for tonight.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move to a roll call attendance. Commissioner Amatuzzo,
Here.
Commissioner Garriga,
Here.
Commissioner Sandkamp,
Here.
Commissioner Gunther,
Here.
Commissioner Lewis is absent, Commissioner Sakong,
Here.
Commissioner Blazak,
Here.
Commissioner Cronin,
Here.
Vice Chair Gucciardo,
Here.
and Chairman Gordon.
Present.
Okay, there are 9 members of the commission in attendance this evening. 5 affirmative votes are needed for a certificate of appropriateness. Next on the agenda, we have the minutes from August 14th. Does anyone have any questions, corrections, anything like that? If not, staff recommends a motion to approve.
Motion. Second.
Who had the second? I missed that.
Stephen.
Got it, thank you. All right, we'll do a roll call vote for that. Commissioner Sandkamp,
Yes.
Commissioner Amatuzzo,
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak,
I'm gonna abstain because I didn't get a chance to review. I apologize.
Commissioner Cronin,
I'm also going to abstain because I wasn't at the meeting and I haven't reviewed them, so.
Commissioner Garriga,
Abstain.
Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong,
Aye.
Vice Chair Gucciardo,
Aye.
and Chairman Gordon.
Aye.
Okay, there's 6 affirmative votes, no nays, and 3 abstentions. The minutes from the regular meeting of August 14th are approved. Okay, correspondence, all application materials are linked on this evening's agenda through the application number as per usual. Announcements, the only announcement that staff has for this evening is that case 9D H20357, which is 238 through 247th Street, which is listed on tonight's agenda, will be carrying to our next HBC meeting, which is October 23rd. So they'll be prepared to present that evening. If there's any members of the public who are here for that application, it'll be on the 23rd. Okay, and that brings us to open public comment. If there are any members of the public in attendance this evening who would like to speak regarding matters of historic preservation, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of the screen. Alternatively, you can press *9 on your phone. Again, this is for matters not on the agenda this evening. Okay, staff sees no hands raised and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay. We have no old business on tonight's agenda. So that brings us to new business.
All right, I will call new business item A, which is case H21-550. Applicant is Jensen Vazel, RA, on behalf of William Catherwood and Kendaya Gaiman. The address is 208 Warren Street. This application is for a certificate of appropriateness for the construction of a deck at the rear facade and a roof deck, an altered contributing circa 1870 Greek Revival row house in the Paulus Hook Historic District.
Jensen, we'll just swear you in before you begin your testimony. You can unmute yourself.
You swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And just state and spell your full name for the record.
Jensen, my first name, Jensen, and Vasil, Vasil.
Thank you.
Staff notes that Jensen has been previously qualified as an expert in the field of architecture in front of this board. Jensen, you should be able to share your screen and begin presenting.
Okay, good evening, commissioners. My name is Jensen Vasil. I'm the architect for 208 Warren Street. This application is for new doors at the parlor level, a small deck off the rear, as well as a roof deck on the principal roof, and some fencing work along the public right-of-way along Warren Street. The building is 3 lots in from the corner of Sussex and Warren Street. It does have a side yard and it's set back from the front. Currently the building is undergoing an interior renovation, converting it from 3 units to 2. The basement is completed, and right now the upper 3-floor triplex is becoming a single, the owner's unit. This proposal, first I'll start with the site plan. There's no work being done on the front, proposed on the front or side facades. At the rear, as I mentioned, there's a small 3-foot deck off the parlor level that is proposed. It is conforming to bulk zoning. The rear yard is 30 foot 3 inches where 30 feet is required, and there are no other changes proposed at the rear landscaping or the side landscaping. At the front of the building, there is some chain link fence along the Warren Street front, which I'll get to, that we are proposing to replace with a steel fence and gate to match the original, similar. There will be at the principal roof, there's a proposed roof deck. There would be AC units as well, the condensing units. Those condensing units would be enclosed with visual screening and with sound attenuation. And then a small portion, the 3 feet along that immediately abuts the neighbor to the south, would have a privacy screen to block from the deck to the neighbor. The next sheet, HPC3, gives a sense of the context. Again, front of the building not going to be changed. This is the chain link fence where the parking is, which extends over in front of the planter. Side facade that's not going to be changed. The rear existing conditions, which has planting and some concrete pavers. And then the rear facade. One thing I'll note while we're on this page is that the windows on the parlor level on the left-hand side or the south side the jambs do not align with the parlor level, so they are shifted. So the proposal would be to combine these 3 window openings into 1 door, and then to have a small deck off the rear. Plans show on these the interior the same scope. The basement has already been completed, and the upper 3 floors being under construction. So kitchen on the parlor level, kitchen, living room, and then bedrooms on the upper 2 floors. This 3-foot deck off the rear, and then the large sliding unit in the back. The following page, HPC 5, shows the roof conditions. So the roof right now has a low pitch that would be removed, reframed. The chimneys would remain. I'm sorry, the chimney breast would be removed, excuse me. And the new deck would be constructed with a sky door so that the bulkhead couldn't be seen from the public right of way. This building can be viewed from a secondary public right of way on Sussex Street through a narrow gap. So the deck would be the pedestal style deck system over the existing roofing membrane, re-roofing at the same elevation, same detail. Nothing would change from the aesthetics of the roof itself, from the street or from the public right of ways. And then the stairs would be opened up, and the sky door would be put in to be minimally invasive. Proposed cable railing deck, which is minimally visible, painted black, and to just make it go away as much as possible, to make it as invisible as possible without any glare or anything like that. The rear says stair, but it's just a deck. There's a rear deck off the back that's a 3-foot deck. It's just a deck that there's 2 posts on either side, and it would span the back of the whole back opening of the whole back facade, excuse me. And then the stairs, the one opening would go between the jambs as mentioned. And then the side is just showing the roof deck at the top, the bulkhead, the sky door with the door open in the open position, and the small 3-foot deck in the rear. And you can see that low profile roof that it's so low that if you're standing on the street, you'd never see the outline. At the rear of the building, the opening, those 3 window openings would be proposed to be removed from jamb to jamb. We would maintain the existing 3 lintels, and then we would propose to have 2 large sliding panels with mullions at the original window jambs, so that the fenestration pattern is maintained from the original line, and the lintels are maintained in the original line. You would be able to see where what the original pattern was at the rear. On to the right of this page, there are also 2 sconces on either side, wall sconces that are shown here, and the top material of the deck would be Ipe. The actual structure would be steel, painted black. At the front, those chain link fences would be removed, and in their place would be a steel bar fence with the little obelisks that would match the existing. So it would be the same except for the detail at the bottom, which is unique. So these would remain, and then we would just have a little bit less detail, something that's easily replicable. Same size bars, same size obelisks, everything in the same location. And the existing would not be touched. It would just be maintained. Then finally, this is the following sheet. The HPC 6 or 7 is showing the view from the public rights of way, taken at 3 different places from down the street at Warren Street. So in the corner of Warren in Sussex, there's an empty lot. So you can go quite a ways, almost 163 feet from this last viewpoint here. Even from that viewpoint, you wouldn't be able to touch the railing. So we tried to get as far as we could before we hit the first building at Sussex. And from there, you still couldn't see the railing from the front. You also could not see the AC condensing units. On the side of the building, the sideline diagram from the side, that oblique angle from Sussex Street, the secondary public right of way, you will catch a little bit of the railing itself, but not obviously not the bulkhead, because it would be a sky door that would be right in line with the rest of the deck structure itself, the pedestal system. And then finally, some details of the rear door. As I mentioned, it's two panels that slide independently. They would have the mullions at the old window lines, and then the lintels would be maintained. So it'd be the two steel channels would be inserted one at a time. As they took the brick out, and on the outside channel, they would remove the lintel and then place it back in the same location inside the channel itself. And then the deck, and then the sill obviously would be there's a water table there now that would be maintained, so that deck would be independent. It's not bolted in to the water table structure, so that if it was ever removed, the integrity or the original fabric is maintained. That is concludes my testimony, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions?
This is Commissioner Gucciardo. I had a question about the fence.
Sure.
You referred to it as steel.
Yes.
Is it tubular or is it solid?
It's solid rods.
So
Correct.
but it's not wrought iron, it's steel instead, or are we just interchanging those?
We're using those terms interchangeably. It's cold rolled. It'd be cold rolled steel, though. It's solid steel.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to provide the comment that Mr. Vazel, this was a very thorough and well thought out application. In my opinion, I thought you really anticipated a lot of my concerns, and I particularly appreciated the detail, leaving the lintels in place on the rear facade and having the mullions track the existing windows. So I appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
I have a question.
Sure.
Did I hear at the beginning of the presentation, this is Commissioner Amatuzzo, by the way, that you were replacing the front doors on the primary facade?
No, we would not be changing anything on the front facade.
Okay, I thought I had heard that at the beginning. I'm sorry, I was mistaken. Thank you.
I have one question. Did you mention that the screening for the HVAC units that's on the roof, correct?
That's correct.
And is there any visibility of that?
No, it's the same height as the AC units. So there'd be no visibility of it. It's a bit in front of it, but it's not visible from this angle.
Okay. And not on the front, not any portion on the rear either through that gap.
That is correct. It's thankfully it's all the way on the south side of the roof plan. So on this side, so you can only see through the. Actually, I've got a plan of that. You can only see through this small gap. So they're actually here. You wouldn't be able to see that far over it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can you go to the that lintel detail?
Sure.
So yeah, just stay there for a second. So this detail is essentially through one of these guys, right?
Yes.
So the idea is that if you were to cut a section through the brick portion rather than through the detail, would there be bricks inset into that zone where the lintel is now?
There is where there wasn't the original bluestone lintel, there would be bricks in between. Yes.
So this sort of joint that accommodates for the thickness of that top flange, you would probably read that sort of going all the way across, right?
Yes.
So that's a new I'm not necessarily objecting to it. I'm just kind of trying to understand. So you would read that joint as a horizontal joint, as a continuous line, even through the portions that used to be continuous vertical piers. Is that correct?
That's correct. I don't see how they could avoid it just given the thickness of the flange of the the beam.
Right. And are you cutting bricks to like, does that fit perfectly? Is it sort of moduled into that height of the C channel?
Yes. So the height of the beam would align with the would be sized accordingly with the mortar joint of the brick. Yes.
I think I concur with the previous commissioner's comments. I appreciate the thoroughness and the detail of the application and the presentation. I do think those things like that line, it changes the reading of the building. So I think, it would be good to update the package to reflect that. But otherwise, I don't have any further comments.
Anyone else have any additional comments? Hearing none. Jensen, does that conclude your testimony?
It does. Thank you.
Great. All right. We can move to open public comment on this application. If any members of the public who are in attendance would like to speak regarding this matter, please use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. Alternatively, if you're on the phone, you can press *9. All right, staff sees no hands raised and recommends a motion to open and close public comment.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, go to staff comments on this. Just share the staff report. And as per usual, scroll all the way to the bottom. So this proposal is pretty consistent with both our standards, the Secretary of the Interior standards, and our ordinance. Most of the changes here are things that are pretty common in historic districts, this rear deck, the roof deck. And we think the way that they're proposing the rear window fenestration changes, even though they will be obliquely visible, is consistent with things that we've seen in the past. And we don't think that it will have an adverse effect on the historic resource or the Paul's Hook Historic District. So we do have most of our standard conditions on this application. We do have one additional condition, and that is this first one up at the top. As Jensen said, they're currently working on an interior renovation that was approved under a separate application number. So we're just looping the conditions in that application into the COA so that everything stays together. Everything else from there, downcast lighting on the roof deck and rear deck, and that no accessories associated with the roof deck, such as umbrellas, vegetation, things like that, should be visible from the public right of way. Everything else is a standard condition. Do commissioners have any questions for staff? Okay, hearing none, the recommendation here is to approve the COA with conditions.
I'll make a motion to approve with conditions.
Second.
Okay. Roll call. Commissioner Sandkamp?
Aye.
Commissioner Amatuzzo?
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak?
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin?
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong?
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther?
Aye.
Commissioner Garriga?
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis is absent. Vice Chair Gucciarda?
Aye.
And Chairman Gordon.
Aye.
Okay, the vote count is 9 in favor, none against, with no abstentions, so the COA is approved.
Thank you all very much. Have a great night.
Thanks, Jensen.
And can I ask, was that Brian or Robert who had the motion to approve?
Brian.
I'm sorry?
It was Brian.
Okay. We can fix that up there. Thank you.
No problem. All right. Want to go ahead and call the next application?
So next up is new business item B, which is a presentation on the historic preservation master plan element. by San Chaven, AICP PP, and Paul Cancilla, AICP PP from H2M Consulting, and Siri Olson from Easton Architects.
Getting everyone in here and then we'll swear everyone in. Just need, okay. Okay, so Paul, San, Frankie, and Peter, we do have to swear you in. So we can just go one at a time. I'll call you in the order on my screen. All right, we'll do Paul first.
Yeah, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. State and spell your name for the record.
Cancilla. It's Cancilla.
Thank you.
San,
Okay. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And state and spell your full name for the record.
Sure. Sanagita, Sanyogita. Last name is Chavan, Chavan, from H2M Associates.
Thank you.
Frankie, you're up next.
Where are you? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I do.
Thank you. And state and spell your name for the record.
It's Frankie Evans, Frankie. Last name is Evans, Evans.
Thank you.
And Peter, you're up next. You do have to unmute.
Okay, and if you'd raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give in this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. And if you could state and spell your full name for the record.
Sure. Peter Easton, Peter Easton, Easton Architects.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, everyone's sworn in. So San, you guys can take it away.
Okay. Paul, do you mind sharing your screen, please? Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Sanchavan from H2M Architects, and I'm joined by Peter Easton from Easton Architects, Frankie from Easton Architects, and Paul Cancilla from H2M. We had met with you on April 24th and given you a brief overview, mentioned to you about launching the online survey website. And I think a month from then, a little over a month, we had a first community engagement. So we've had all our public engagement and just wanted to give you a brief overview of what's occurred since April. Next slide, please. So as you all noticed, I'll quickly go through these slides. I presented them at the first meeting with you. So as you all know, it's a historic preservation master plan element. It's an element that can be included in a municipality's master plan, and it provides a policy guide for the city's historic resources and districts. Next slide, please. So who all were involved? So by statutes, the planning board has the power to adopt master plans and any elements from that. We've been working with the Division of City Planning, Maggie's group. We got input from the Jersey City community with the 2 workshops, and we had an online workshop with stakeholders and residents both. And we've met with you. This is our second meeting. So this is the group that's involved in the historic preservation plan preparation. Next slide, please. So just wanted to give you a brief overview. There, everything is available on the website. If you want to dig deeper, I just want to highlight the main points. We received significant feedback from residents. The website has now been updated with all the most recent materials, and results from the survey have been generated and are available for view on the website. I don't know if I can use the link here, but we can certainly send the link through Maggie if you don't have it. And we've started drafting the historic preservation plan element, and responses from the residents will be incorporated into it. As you can see, we got 25,655 responses, 520 people participated. So, I would say that it's been a good response. Next slide, please. So as you know, we had 3 workshops. The first one was on May 31st at Council Chambers, July 27th at Holloway Building, and August 29th was conducted virtually. Next slide, please. So I just wanted to show you where we are in the process. We had a kickoff meeting in February. We did an in-person site visit sometime early April, actually, April 5th or 6th. And then end of April on the 24th, we met with you. We had the community workshop in May. The public input website was finalized around that time. And then we had a second community workshop in July, the stakeholder meeting in August. And this public input website has been running for almost 3.5 months. So right now it's still on. You can view all the materials. You just can't take the survey. The survey, I think we closed, early September, if I'm not mistaken. So we're at this point, and just so that the top line talks about touch base, we've been meeting regularly with Maggie and others, the city staff, and we have this meeting with you tonight, and then sometime in mid-November we'll have the draft plan for review. And in, I think, December 11th, we will present it to the Historic Preservation Commission, and then incorporate comments from you, from the members of public, and then hope to adopt it sometime either end of January or early February. So this is, we've been pretty good in meeting the deadlines, and I want to keep the tempo going. Next slide, please. So I just want to highlight what were the primary issues identified. And I'll go through these a little slowly so you can all read. So basically, the first thing was balancing the preservation of historical buildings and the development of new buildings. They wanted new development to be compatible with historic developments. One of the concerns was preserving affordable housing within historic districts. Reduction of demolition efforts of older homes and buildings, and which also included benign neglect. Then the enduring high costs and numerous constraints for homeowners, upkeep and construction, streamlining the review process of work applications between the HPC and the Planning Zoning Board, and incorporating modern, sustainable, and affordable technology into preservation treatments, improving the clarity of historic preservation guidelines, especially for non-historic buildings within the districts. And then there was an issue of increasing green space, mitigating urban heat island effect, and the need for it. So the issue, I don't mean it as it being a bad thing, but the need for it, and enhancing historic preservation and cultural education and engagement initiatives and opportunities. So these were the issues identified through the surveys, through the community engagement, and we discussed this further at the second community meeting, end of May. So next slide, please. So we also identified what the potential plan element goals would be. So one would be to balance the ongoing preservation of historic buildings and new development, to ensure the continued preservation of historic districts and buildings, to promote the city's rich and diverse history and assets, to encourage further preservation and continue to provide access to affordable housing, to promote sustainability and resiliency in historic preservation regulations, and encourage the adaptive reuse of historic assets. Next slide, please. So we also, based on our research, reviewing all the prior documents, talking to the members of public, the stakeholders, these are the few potential recommendations. One was apply for the CLG status, to provide incentives such as rehab tax credits and revolving loan programs to promote the preservation and rehabilitation of existing buildings, to improve signage for historic districts to create a distinct feel for the neighborhoods, consider additional historic district and landmark designation based on an updated historic resource inventory, which is being conducted by Eastern Architects, expand existing historic district boundaries and implement transition overlays to address issues identified in the plan, revise district regulations to allow for greater flexibility, particularly related to resiliency and adaptive reuse, to increase historic preservation staff to address increased demand from the addition of new districts, and allow for more modern, sustainable, and affordable technology into these preservation treatments. And then finally, to improve clarity of historic preservation guidelines, especially for non-historic buildings within the historic districts. Next slide, please. So what would be the next steps? I just want to reiterate them. So we plan to publish a draft of the historic preservation plan sometime in mid-November. A month later, we hope to meet with you on December 11th to receive comments on the draft plan. And from mid-November until early January, we hope to receive public comments. So even after we present, we'll of course get your comments, but we'll still keep it online to receive comments from the members of the public. And then finally, based on all the comments, we'll prepare the final plan to be presented to the planning board for adoption, because as I mentioned, as per the statute, it's the planning board that adopts these plans. So we're pretty much at the end of our presentation, and we're just opening now for questions, comments, and thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you. So I'm not familiar with this process. Sen, you did a very thorough job of outlining some of the issues and priorities and objectives. So what's the next step in terms of identifying concrete actions that could be taken to address those concerns?
Correct. So what a historic preservation plan does, and if I'm sounding like a school teacher or something, lecturer, that's not my intent, but I just want to explain the process. So a historic preservation plan is a part of the master plan. It is a policy framework. It is not an ordinance. However, as per the municipal land use law, we are required to provide a policy framework. So that way, the next step would be to actually put all this information into a preservation plan with recommendations. And those recommendations will be in concrete language. And what we are proposing to do with each recommendation will put in an implementation party and a time frame. So what this process will actually do is provide recommendations based on which the governing body can take the next step or whoever is the implementing party. So we'll basically set forth the recommendation. We'll put in a time frame, whether it's short term, medium term, or long term. So short term is something that can be completed within 1 or 2 years. So then we'll identify who the implementation party would be. So it could be either the HPC, the city council, or planning division. And then medium is something that can be completed in 3 to 5 years. And long term is anything that can be completed in 10 plus years. So for example, let's say we talked about seeking CLG designation. So through the State Historic Preservation Office. So that's our recommendation. So who would be the implementing party? It's the planning division, obviously. HPC, and the city council has to approve that. So that would be the implementing party. And the completion time frame would be, I would say, within 1 or 2 years, because I think we're almost in the process of putting that together at the city level. So, so that's so on and so forth. Will identify the time frame. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I think the CLG status is a good example of something that is pretty specific and pretty easy to identify a course and a timeline. Some of these are more high level, like finding the right balance between preserving historic structures and allowing development, or allowing access to affordable housing for really big sort of abstract things like that. I think the devil's going to be in the details, but the broad outline you provided it's hard to find any fault there.
Correct. And the devil is in the details. So I just summarized it. You will get to review a copy of that. And the copy of the master plan will actually talk about the specific steps. We put in an implementation matrices because one of the biggest fears of such documents, master plans, are all this work has been conducted, and then it just becomes a shelf document. So an implementation matrix is basically summarizing all the details that were actually written in the plan, and to provide like a matrix. So for example, and when you get a copy, you will see that we talk about the recommendation, we talk about who's responsible for that. We talk about the completion time frame, like whether it's 1 to 2 years, 3 to 5. And then we also give a checklist, whether it's completed or not, and the year it's been completed. So the planning staff will have that copy. They can keep a tab. The historic preservation can have a copy because it'll be put online, I believe. So, so yes, I agree with you. The goal is to provide all the information that can enable the city to take the next steps.
So what's the best way, or the next opportunity for us, the commissioners, to have input on the specific steps to be taken to implement some of these policy goals?
Well, December will present that, and you will get an opportunity to review. So December 11th is our actual plan presentation. As I mentioned, mid-November, we'll put that, we'll have that online. So everybody, I would urge all of you to read it. It's really, it's probably like 35 pages. So it's, you'll get an opportunity to read all of it and, and give your comments. I don't know, Paul and Peter, do you have anything to add? Peter?
No, I don't think so. I think you're addressing appropriate questions, Commissioner Gordon, about the process and what are implementable actions that we can take place. And as Stan's mentioning, we are going to outline that. I think there was significant input from residents that has allowed us to script some of the narrative that we're going to be putting into the master plan element. I think it hopefully will be clear in terms of what the goals are and why we're recommending certain actions. there was a lot of concern from residents regarding tax liabilities and some things that were way beyond what this would ever accomplish. But in starting, as Sam mentioned, in starting with becoming a certified local government, addressing a preservation ordinance, addressing design guidelines, I think will be a very a quick way to address some of the major concerns from residents. That is action that can take place right away to show residents that the city is responding. And I think from there, it will allow additional actions to occur based on what will become available to you after becoming a CLG. As an example, grant funding to do additional inventory, historic resource inventories, expanding district boundaries, writing a more detailed preservation ordinance, things like that. So we're hopeful that within a couple of months, things will be looking active from what we submit.
And I just want to also add to that, that these goals actually, all the recommendations stem from the goals, stem from our research that we did while preparing the plan in terms of reviewing your documents, reviewing past applications, and then also the extensive public engagement. So basically what this will say, for example, it says, adopt historic design guidelines or amend guidelines. I'm just putting an example. This then provides a framework for the town to, or the historic preservation or the implementing party to actually conduct that. So, you know, you will then get, it forms a framework for you to actually take actions. And once you see the document, you'll get an idea what I'm trying to explain, because it's in a draft format. It's pretty much, you know, put together in a good shape, but just not ready for to share yet. So.
Anyone else have any questions, comments?
All right, just one more. So I know that you indicated there's been very good public engagement, which is really nice to hear. I was just wondering, how has the message been distributed? Because I'm obviously aware of it from my involvement with the HPC, but I haven't heard anything from any other channels. So I'm wondering, I know the survey has now closed, but if there are to be further opportunities for the public to engage, it would be great to get everyone involved. And as we move into the implementation phase, want to minimize the likelihood that people surface and say, hey, wait a second, I never heard about this, I object, you know.
I mean, I can say that, I mean, I would, Maggie, would you like to?
Yeah, I was about to say I can answer this one because I did most of the distribution. So, you know, we distributed information about these public meetings. So let me actually backtrack a little bit. We did a combination of public meetings, the survey, and then Sarah and I, in the month of July, went to literally every single farmer's market that we physically could go to, set up tables and just tabled at them. I think combined, she and I were at like 3 or 4 a week. It was insane. So we would get information out about the public meetings through our kind of what I'll call our standby methods, which is we have the city planning email list, which is just everyone who signs up for information regarding city planning. The Division of Transportation gave me their mailing list as well, so we were able to circulate it there. We provided it to all of the neighborhood associations within Jersey City to, if they felt the desire to distribute to their membership. We posted it on all of the city channels, so the city social media, calendar, flyers in City Hall, things like that. We had flyers in the annex as well about all of the public engagement. And then I posted it on social media as much as I'm able to. So I did a couple postings about it on Reddit, on Twitter, as much as we could there. And distribution of information about when the draft is ready for public comment will follow a similar vein. I can't print out copies and stand with them in City Hall like we could with the flyers. But we'll at least make sure that people have access to that draft as much as possible, mimicking the same methods.
Thank you, Maggie. If you could send me a link for the public access point for this process, I'd be happy to also distribute it in my building and the surrounding area.
Yes.
I can confirm that I saw Maggie and Sarah in Van Vorst Park one Saturday morning. So they were getting they were getting the word out. And I just want to say, you know, if someone always, you're never going to reach everyone, unfortunately, and there's always going to be someone who might say, I didn't know about this, I didn't hear about this, I object, want to start the process all over again. It's just the nature of the game, unfortunately, and sometimes it's not all in good faith, but it sounds like we're doing the best that we can to get the word out, so I'm very thankful for that.
Corey, I see your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I did get a couple of emails from you advertising it. So also I'm trying to lower the hand, but it's not giving me
All
the
right, let me see if I can do it on my end. It's not, I don't have an option to lower your hand for you, so you might just have, oh, there we go. Okay. Sam, was there anything else you wanted to add about the public engagement?
No, I think I covered most of it.
Okay. Does anyone else have any questions? So you'll all get a link to the draft plan as soon as I have one, as soon as we have one available. I expect you'll all have plenty of comments on it. And we very much look forward to them.
Thank you, everyone.
That's expected to be mid-November, was it?
Yes.
Okay, so that's good, because this is one where we will definitely, I'm sure, want to review it thoroughly, and you know, the more time we're able to review before the December meeting, the better.
Yep.
And we thought of that given the fact that it's in mid-December, holiday season, you know, so.
Well, thanks for your presentation, and Maggie, thanks for all those myriad outreach efforts.
Happy to do it.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Looks like we just have one more item on the agenda for this evening.
And that is new business item C, discussion and adoption of a bylaw amendment.
Right. So I know we had some people on this meeting who were not here for the August meeting. It doesn't prevent you from voting on this, but I can do a little backtrack explaining of this, what this specific bylaw amendment is. So in the most basic terms, this bylaw amendment is adding a section to our standard agenda called demolitions or demolition review. We need to, in order to add something as a standard agenda item, we do need to amend our bylaws, which is what we're doing here. The purpose of that is to review any demolition applications that HPC staff needs to elevate to the commission level. So these are demolitions that are outside of historic districts. Demolitions inside of historic districts have their own process through our existing preservation ordinance. This is the result of an appellate court ruling in July, when the appellate court ruled that our demolition ordinance was exceeding the MLUL because we as staff were denying demolition applications outside of historic districts without the consultation of the HPC. So in order to continue to review demolition applications, we are adding this section so that you guys will have the final say on any demolition applications outside of historic districts that will be denied. We envision this kind of being a very straightforward process. It's similar to an application where you guys will get you'll get the application materials that the applicant submits. In this case, that is a survey or a site plan of the property. I don't want you all to get your hopes up. Site plans sometimes are just, sometimes people will just circle the building on Google Maps. We did not set standards for that when we wrote the ordinance. So sometimes we get that, but sometimes we get a survey. The current photos of the building and the 1938 tax card. You'll also get a report from staff and our outside consultants reviewing the building per our ordinance standards and making a recommendation to the commission. You guys will be able to review that and to make a determination on the application if you want to approve the application or approve the application in the sense that you're agreeing with staff, or deny the application in the sense that you think that the building should be approved for demolition. When we start reviewing these applications, we'll go through the process more thoroughly, but that's kind of just what this section of the agenda will be. Applicants will have the ability to provide testimony. However, it's going to be very limited testimony in regards to preservation. So I don't know how much testimony applicants will actually provide in this case. It's just going to have to be something that we see when we start reviewing these. There are a couple in the queue that our consultants have recommended for denial. So I would imagine that we'll start seeing these as soon as next meeting if this bylaw amendment is approved. That is a lot of information. Does anyone have any questions? Okay. On that note, the recommendation from staff is for someone to make a motion to adopt the bylaw amendment.
Motion.
Second.
Okay, I have Corey and Janelle. Do a roll call. Commissioner Amatuza,
Aye.
Commissioner Garriga,
Aye.
Commissioner Sandkamp,
Aye.
Commissioner Gunther,
Aye.
Commissioner Sakong,
Aye.
Commissioner Blazak,
Aye.
Commissioner Cronin,
Aye.
Commissioner Lewis is absent, Vice Chair Gucciarda,
Aye.
and Chairman Gordon.
Aye.
Okay, there are 9 votes in favor, none against, no abstentions. The bylaw amendment is approved. All right, continuing down the agenda. For tabled cases, we will also see so 11 Erie, I have a meeting with that applicant on Wednesday. Hopefully we'll come to some kind of resolution if they're keeping their application on the meeting, or on the agenda. At this point, it's been over a year. I've told them that we will come to some kind of decision on Wednesday. 289 Pavonia. I don't know if you guys remember that one. It is the rear deck on the corner of Pavonia and Coles. They will also be back next meeting. They submitted revised plans that address some of your concerns raised in the last meeting. Not all of them, but some of them. And like I said at the beginning of the meeting, 247th Street will also is being carried to.
I'm sorry, you're
Your
going.
voice is kind
low.
of cutting out.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry, can we hear good now? Okay. And like I said at the beginning of the meeting, 247th Street also being heard next meeting. Okay. All right. That is the end of the agenda on my end. We have no resolutions to introduce or discuss, no resolutions to memorialize. We do not need an executive session, and that just leaves us with adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It is 7:32.
Wow. Quick.